Hey guys, it's your boy, Ballface8020, back again with another great commentary. So I'm assuming some of you guys want a commentary on the war in the Middle East and the protests in Los Angeles. We may do that. But first tonight I want to talk about this. The So I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the Whatever podcast at all. I haven't, but I saw on a different channel. I saw this thing with, if you know anything about it, you know who Andrew Wilson is. Maybe know a little bit about his wife, Rachel something. I guess Rachel Wilson. And what happened is, so I'm not sure what was going on, like exactly. Like they were having like some kind of special debate, whatever. Whenever they're gonna have a debate, they bring Andrew in, and I don't get it. He's so like unappealing, unengaging. I don't understand like why he gets this platform. Like he must, because it's not like if it was his own channel, that's one thing, but they're all bringing him on, so the audience must like him, right? Or must tune into when he watches stuff. I don't know. I really don't know. I was thinking like maybe is he rich enough that he's able to like sort of pay his way on? I don't know. But he's having some debate about who knows what, some bullshit, the same bullshit they always talk about probably, with some light-skinned black girl, but this girl must be half white because her voice is the whitest voice I've ever heard on a black girl. And if you heard her talk, you would be sure that she was some White Valley girl. She had a really good vibe. I really liked her style, and she just has a good energy that I really liked. But so again, I really don't know what they were debating, but Brian says like she's trying to open like her water bottle and she can't do it, so Brian does it for her. She says thanks, and then Brian's like, okay, well, if we get a $1,000 donation, we'll do a pickle jar challenge, which okay. Brian's doing his job, right? He's trying to get big donations and stuff, and that works. But who the hell would donate that? The pickle jar challenge being, she tries to open it, and then if she can't, he tries to open it. And I don't know, like it's just so stupid. It's such a dumb idea. But okay, whatever. So then somebody does it though. Somebody donates the $1,000, and Brian's like, okay, well, I guess we have to do it now. And it's not a pickle jar. Instead, they bring out an olive jar, and they give it to her first. And she's like, this is seriously immature. And Brian is almost apologizing for it. He's like, yeah, but $1,000. If even Brian thought this was stupid, that tells you something. And so she says, to be fair, though, I'm an exceptionally weak woman. And then she goes on later to say, I weigh 98 pounds. So again, what are we trying to prove here? This isn't, I don't know what's going on here. So she fumbles with it for a while, a minute, can't get it, and then pushes it over to Andrew. And then Andrew's like across the table to Andrew. And Andrew's like, well, I'm supposed to open the jar? Or I can't remember. I don't know if he said pickle jar or jar, because it's definitely an olive jar. And, and Brian's like, well, yeah, it's like the contest, the $1,000 contest. And, it is you have to be careful when you're seeing these things if you know how they end. Are you reading too much into it? But looking at the body language, and so it's like he recoils when he sees it. Now, it could just be that, doesn't necessarily mean he can't open a pickle jar or olive jar. It could just be that he gets that he's on the spot. Because I'd be nervous being put on the spot like that. So you maybe that's all it is. But maybe it's that he knew he couldn't do it. I don't know, and that's the way that, like, after the fact, that's the way it kinda looks. So, he goes and you can tell pretty quickly he can't do it, and he's saying, "I can't grip it, it's too slippery." Now, so people are gonna say he's, "That's bullshit, he's making excuses and stuff." I've had this happen to me a lot with, like, different times where you're trying to open because, it would be my, my mom before she passed. She was like anytime she needed something open, she would be like kind of like that girl who like the girl who we were just talking about who couldn't open the water bottle. Like she couldn't even open like her water bottles sometimes. And then like, like sometimes she would bring the laundry detergent up to me and have me open the top because I had screwed it on too tight. And like, yeah, plenty of pickle jars and olive jars and stuff like that. However, saying that, there's been a couple that I remember that I could not get. And usually I'd have the same excuse that it was just too slippery. So, I remember there were so many times where I would like stick my shirt, over the top and try to grip it. And I felt like I just couldn't get enough grip. And, which I mean, so I don't know. I mean, I guess that happened. So that must have been what was happening here, right? But maybe it's one of those things like if you're strong enough, you don't need as much grip traction. I don't know. But like anyway, the point what I'm making is you can see when he's trying to twist it that his grip is slipping off. Now, could be because his grip isn't strong enough, or it could be because it was too slick. I don't know. And he can't do it, and it's pretty humiliating. And then, like in frustration, he keeps saying, "Oh, it's because of the grip," and then he does pass it over to Brian. He's like, "Here, you do it." And then Brian tries like one or two times, barely tries at all, and is like, "No, all right. So let's bring over what's his name." They bring over some jacked guy who I guess is one of the Scott, Bill. I don't know. And we'll just say Scott. Say, "Hey, can you open it for us?" And because she like wipes it off because Andrew had earlier wiped it off with some paper towels, and the guy grips it and just pops it off easily. Like, and and then like Brian is like, "Andrew, Scott just like totally mogged you." And then he's like, "Well, he mogged you." And then Andrew's like, "Well, he mogged you. Didn't he mog you too, since you couldn't open it?" And anyways, like so when it got opened, like I guess some pickle juice got on the desk, and then Brian started spurging out about it, like, "Andrew, can you clean that up, please?" And then it was this really awkward like exchange between the two. Like Andrew's trying to check Brian, and Brian's like meanwhile genuinely spurging about there being pickle juice on this table. And so yeah, go watch it. Go watch it if you're interested. Pretty awkward all around. So yeah, I'm just thinking about like the mechanics of it, because like you look at Andrew, and I know my if I still have any female viewers, I know that they're going to get on me about this. But I'll say that like this for Andrew. If Andrew was still young and in shape, I don't think he would be somebody that like women would think is attractive. But if it like weren't for his just horrific personality, give like Andrew just a decent personality, make him young and in shape, I think that women would be like, he's okay looking. Again, I know women are going to say, "Oh, no, he's ugly. He would be ugly no matter what." It's like, yeah, I think you're colored by, I think women have a very hard time evaluating looks in isolation. They like, as opposed to, they tend to evaluate the whole person. So, they'll see somebody and he's maybe like an average, even slightly above average looking guy, but his like personality is just so horrendous. And I'm not saying that they're saying he's ugly because they don't like him. I'm saying because they don't like him, it causes them to see him as uglier than he really is. But like, I mean, yeah, like he's old and fat now. His, bad facial hair doesn't do him any helps, but he does have good hair, for his age at least. And again, I don't think anybody would ever, no matter what his personality, like nobody would see him as attractive, but he's not horrible. But it gets back to what I talk about the sore losers of the sore winners of the manosphere. And, because Andrew's a guy who, like I was saying, if he was young and in shape, I don't think he'd be a bad looking guy. He looks like he's taller than average and, he's got a big frame. I know he couldn't open that pickle jar, but I doubt he's really like this exceptionally physically weak guy. Out of shape, yes, but he doesn't. Some people look weak and frail. He just doesn't look weak or frail to me. And the fact that Brian, who I know is pretty strong, is like couldn't open it either, makes me think that okay, maybe that was just a really tough jar or something. I don't know. But like these guys, I made a video a ways back called "The Sore Winners of the Manosphere." These are guys who's like they've had it all, like they've got it all, and they've got all this anger towards women. And I'm saying like, it's one thing to be angry at women if you like maybe really lost the genetic lottery and you're taking it out on them. There's another thing to be angry at women if you just haven't had a lot of romantic success. But these guys, are, they, have had at least some success, and they've lost, none of them look like they've lost the genetic. I mean, these guys all mogged me to oblivion, right? And, and I'm not angry at women. So, the thing is, I thought more about it. I was thinking, and like, one example in that video I was talking about was with Casey, but Casey, and he does fit in with them to an extent, but Casey doesn't really have any animosity towards women. He's just Casey's not really a sore winner. Casey's just a weirdo. But what he does really have in common with them and all these guys, with Rollo, with Brian, and with guys like Andrew Tate, is this just like, this obsession with masculinity. And I think that is probably the biggest part of it. Because like in the Sore Winners of the Manosphere video, I was like, well, what do these guys have such a problem with women about? But I really think it's due to insecurity in their own masculinity. I know how cliche that sounds, but these guys are like just really upset because most guys don't really think that much about their masculinity, but these guys think about it a lot, like all the time. So, like these guys who masculinity, and that's where Casey, he may not like hate women or be angry at women, but he's obsessed with masculinity. And there's no reason for these guys to be particularly insecure about their masculinity, other than the fact that I would say that, well, not Andrew Tate, so him I just have no explanation for, but Andrew and Brian, not Andrew, I mean Andrew from whatever podcast, and Brian, Rollo, I don't know, but those guys are generally, they're wimps. They're like very weak, and Myron too, very, like physically, they may be like big, strong guys, but they are just small, weak people underneath. And skittish, cowardly types. But Andrew Tate is not. Andrew Tate, he's strong on the outside and he's got a strong personality on the inside, So it can't be that. That's not it. And Rollo is probably a fairly tough guy. At least average toughness. So that is not it. And I guess it just kind of comes with the territory then. I mean, with the exception being Casey, people who are like, and I think, with a lot of them, there is like a personality disorder component. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on with Andrew Tate, but whatever Andrew, Brian, Rollo, especially in the case of Rollo and Brian, like, it's clear to me that there's some kind of mental illness. But Myron, like Myron and then Myron and whatever Andrew, I mean, like, in the extent that, like, I mean, if you're going to say that they have mental illness, it's going to be like 65% of people have some kind of mental illness, if you want to say it that way. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. So I guess the moral of the story is just that, I don't know. I guess you shouldn't worry too much about your masculinity. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess if it doesn't seem to put you in a good place. Thinking about it, like, I mean, like, do any of these, like, people who spurg about their masculinity seem happy to you? So I don't know, like, what is the cause of it? And it seems like, I guess, like, a lot of people who are insecure about their masculinity, the two biggest copes are hating on women and lifting, and maybe even steroids. And yeah, I don't know. Honestly, well, none of them are asking for my advice. They wouldn't listen to it if I gave, wouldn't listen to it. So I'm not sure what I'd advise them. Because, what you want to tell them is just like stop spurging about it. Just live your life, be yourself, and, your view of what masculinity is very childish, and instead of, like, just thinking about, strength and dominance and stuff like that. Like, that's not what being a man is. And, like, they would probably, if I said that to them, they would probably either say or think, well, that's cope. Yeah, because that's what I would have thought when I was young. But that's why you've got to mature and grow up and start to see things for really what they are, and stop just looking at the very surface level of things like you do when you're a kid, especially when you're not a kid. You're much older. So, but I don't, like, the thing is, like, that's not really advice. It's just something they have to figure out on their own, just like, I mean, yeah, sure, I was never like them, like, or never as bad as them, but, I had some traits that were kind of similar to them. And, I remember getting advice of, like, get over it, don't worry about it, it's not a big deal. He's like, shit, like this blue pill garbage. And I said, like, well, that's blue pilled garbage. We didn't have the word blue pilled. And, I just had to grow out of it, I mean, like, again, luckily I was never as bad as they were, but it's really just a difference of degree. So, I mean, I can't be looking down on these guys when I was, maybe just a less cringe version of the same thing at some point. So, who knows? Maybe they just something they have to get over, and they will get over it. The thing that I'd say about, and final thing with the whatever Andrew guy thing was, like, his wife goes and makes, like, like, this whole tweet storm saying, yeah, we just laughed about it, and Andrew opens jars for me all the time at home. And like, it was just, it's so pathetic. It's so pathetic. It just made it so much worse. And, like, he probably put her up to it. And I was seeing this thing, like, apparently it came out, like, on a video, like, he brags about how his wife does everything for him. He doesn't do anything around the house. But it can't, like, the person who I was watching talking about it saying it doesn't really sound, when he's talking about it or she's talking about it, it doesn't sound like he's this dominant guy who's got his wife waiting on him. It sounds more like a child who's got his mom taking care of him. Like, he says that he doesn't even take out the garbage. She does that. So, he overall very cringe guy, handled in the cringe situation that was handled in the most cringe way possible. But funny and entertaining. And, learning, it's a cautionary tale, I guess, for anybody out there who watches this stuff. That's all for now. See you in the next.